As Bank of America prepares for the growing impact of artificial intelligence, our project aims to support a strategic upskilling initiative. We've outlined a clear process to train employees in using AI tools both efficiently and responsibly. This isn't just about technology, it's about empowering people to adapt, thrive, and lead a rapidly evolving workplace. Our goal here today is to help the organization build a future-ready workforce with confidence and clarity.
For our group's discovery process, we used a four-pronged approach that drew from organizational data, practitioner judgment, scientific research, and stakeholder evidence. This allowed us to build a holistic understanding of how Bank of America can successfully upskill its workforce for the era of generative AI. Starting with organizational data, we looked at how Bank of America has already begun adopting generative AI across the company. Over the past year, they've transitioned from older communication tools like Skype and WebEx to more integrated systems like Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, and Copilot. Importantly, the company took precautions before the rollout, consulting with their legal and compliance teams to establish clear and ethical privacy boundaries. This helped us see that while the technology foundation is in place, the human training and policy structures are still developing. And in the second pillar of our discovery process, which is the practitioner judgment, we conducted interviews with 3 professionals across different industries. Tanvi Jain from Bank of America, attorney Jacob Schmidt, and project manager Conrad Schmidt. Each practitioner provided a unique lens into how organizations are adapting to AI. Tanvi showed that while interest among employees is high, training remains fragmented. Jacob emphasized that AI offers speed but not judgment, underscoring the need for human review in sensitive contexts. And then Conrad provided an industrial perspective, noting that AI can assist in scheduling and document drafting, but must be treated as a tool, not a decision maker. And from these interviews, 3 themes emerged. AI literacy must be a role-specific, ethical governance is vital, and human oversight is a non-negotiable. Thirdly, we incorporated scientific research to ground our findings in evidence-based insight. Studies by Louis Morandini and others confirm that successful AI adoption requires structured reskilling, employee inclusion in the process, and balancing efficiency with fairness and ethics. This reinforced that upskilling must be intentional, not reactive. And then lastly is our stakeholder evidence from Bank of America. It pretty much validated our recommendations. Stakeholders favored our ideas around creating AI prompt libraries and generative AI literacy curriculum, both aimed at helping employees learn in real time rather than relying on, simulated sandbox training, if you will. But overall, this discovery process connected data, expertise, and evidence to inform a practical and ethical AI training model, one that emphasizes literacy, responsibility, and organizational readiness for the future.
Bank of America is one of the largest financial institutions in the world, employing roughly 213,000 people. Over the past year, the organization has made a major technological leap forward, initiating the use of generative AI tools across the company. This rollout represents a significant shift toward modern, collaborative, and intelligent systems. Previously, employees used Skype, WebEx, and shared drives, which were not optimized for efficiency or integration at Bank of America. This summer, Bank of America began replacing these systems with Microsoft Teams and OneDrive, streamlining communication and document management across departments. In addition, select teams are currently testing Microsoft Copilot, exploring how AI can assist with daily workflows and enhance productivity. Employees have been encouraged to use generative AI for manual or repetitive tasks, but they've also been cautioned to perform sanity checks and carefully verify the accuracy and quality of the AI-generated content. Before launching this initiative, the legal team reviewed data privacy concerns and established clear organizational parameters to ensure compliance and security. Bank of America has also developed a code of ethics specifically addressing the responsible use of generative AI, reinforcing its commitment to ethical innovation. However, despite these steps, employees have received limited formal training on how to use these new tools effectively. This highlights an opportunity for employees upskilling in the use of generative AI. As we know, the adoption of new technologies impacts productivity and satisfaction most positively when employees are equipped with the right skills and guidance. We used all this information to inform our initial set of recommendations to Bank of America and ultimately to finalize our recommendation to improve generative AI literacy.
Our practitioner interviews revealed how professionals across different industries view the integration of generative AI in the workplace. At Bank of America, Tom V. Jane emphasized that while employees are still curious about artificial intelligence, the organization currently lacks a unified approach to training them. She highlighted the importance of role-specific education that connects directly to each employee's daily tasks rather than just general AI awareness. Jacob Schmidt, an attorney at Fraser Attorneys at Law, explained that artificial intelligence could greatly improve efficiency in drafting legal documents, conducting research, and summarizing long articles or work. However, he stressed that confidentiality and accuracy are non-negotiable. His key takeaway was that AI can give you speed, but it can't give you judgment. He recommended clear policies defining what type of work artificial intelligence can assist with, and that there's mandatory human review for every AI-generated product. In contrast, Conrad Schmidt, a project manager at Metals Fabrication Company, shared that artificial intelligence is still emerging in the manufacturing world, but it does have potential in reading blueprints, summarizing work orders, and automating administrative tasks. His focus was training supervisors and estimators to use artificial intelligence as a support tool, but never the final decision maker. Across all three interviews, a consistent theme emerged. Organizations see immense potential in generative AI, but success depends on upskilling employees, setting clear policies, and ensure that there's ethical and human-centered oversight. These insights directly guided our team's recommendations for Bank of America's Generative AI Literacy Committee and Training Framework.
Liu, Sheng, and Liu investigated the relationship between generative AI adoption and employee outcomes through the lens of the conservation of resources theory. Their study explored how AI integration influences job crafting behaviors, career commitment, and employee well-being. The researchers found that generative AI can serve as a valuable resource that enables employees to adapt to dynamic job demands, fostering greater engagement and personal development. Moreover, employees who expressed a higher degree of liking or positive attitude toward AI demonstrated stronger career commitment and were more proactive in shaping their work roles. The findings suggest that organizations can enhance employee satisfaction and retention by encouraging AI-supported job crafting and by cultivating positive employee perceptions of AI tools. Morandini examined the impact of artificial intelligence on workforce skill development, emphasizing the necessity of upskilling and reskilling in modern organizations. The study categorized essential competencies for the AI-driven era into 5 domains: core skills, cognitive and thinking skills, self-management skills, social and communication skills, and physical or manual skills. The research highlighted that conducting a skills gap analysis is critical to understanding how AI can be effectively implemented across different organizational levels. By identifying existing skill deficiencies, organizations can strategically design training and development initiatives to ensure equitable access to AI-related opportunities. The author concluded that proactive reskilling initiatives are central to maintaining workforce adaptability and organizational competitiveness in the context of rapid technological change. In their study on AI's strategic role in human resource planning, Bosset-Canova and Dedeboyev argued that AI should function as a complement to human judgment rather than a replacement. The authors proposed that successful workforce planning requires the integration of human insight and algorithmic precision, resulting in a symbiotic relationship between employees and AI systems. Their research emphasized the importance of employee participation in AI deployment processes, suggesting that inclusion enhances trust, engagement, and innovation. The study concluded that when organizations align AI tools with human expertise, they foster a more collaborative and future-ready workplace culture. Charlwood and Gwinol explored the paradoxical implications of AI integration within HR functions, particularly regarding efficiency, equity, and ethics. Their research demonstrated that while AI adoption can significantly increase organizational efficiency and reduce labor costs, it simultaneously raises concerns related to algorithmic bias and fairness. The authors traced historical trends showing that the expansion of information systems since the 1970s has contributed to a declining share of income directed toward labor, underscoring AI's disruptive potential. They caution that AI systems reflect the data and assumptions on which they are trained. Thus, bias mitigation during AI system design and curriculum development is essential. The study concluded that sustainable AI implementation requires a balance between technological advancement and ethical responsibility to avoid perpetuating systemic inequalities.
Our initial recommendations focused on building AI literacy through a structured curriculum, phased integration, clear guidelines, and an AI bootcamp. However, from our stakeholder interview, we learned that since generative AI is already in use at Bank of America, a sandbox environment would not be effective. Real-time application is more valuable. While some guidelines do exist already, they're still evolving and intentionally flexible due to the newness of AI adoption at Bank of America. The idea that received the most support was creating prompt libraries and a generative AI literacy curriculum, which aligns directly with initiatives already being discussed within the organization. For our final recommendations, we recommended the use of stepwise generative AI literacy curriculum at Bank of America to ensure that all employees are equipped appropriately to use AI in their areas of expertise. We recommend that this curriculum be designed by a cross-departmental Generative AI Literacy Core Committee with support from targeted subcommittees. Our final recommendation was a stepwise generative AI curriculum to upskill employees using generative AI at Bank of America. The first phase would introduce AI tools used at Bank of America and go over ethical use guidelines and protocols of generative AI. Phase 2 would be a generative AI bootcamp. This bootcamp would be used to educate employees on how to use different AI tools effectively for different tasks, how to form a basic prompt, using AI in their workflow, and watching for AI mistakes. Phase 3 would introduce the curated libraries of prompts to be used at Bank of America and how to use them in the different departments at Bank of America. And Phase 4 would be a yearly continuing education or refresher on AI.
For our practitioner interviews, we used 3 open-ended questions designed to understand how organizations are preparing for generative artificial intelligence. We asked each professional how they see AI being used in their organization, what skills their employees would need to use it effectively, and what processes they would need to put in place to support responsible adoption of generative AI. We structured our interviews this way to explore both the practical side of AI implementation and the human or structural changes that it also requires. By keeping the questions broad but consistent, we were able to gather comparable insights from the different industries like banking, law, and manufacturing, and identify the shared challenges and opportunities in upskilling their workforce for artificial intelligence.
So here's how we see this rolling out. To really prepare Bank of America's workforce for generative AI, we're recommending a structured plan built around a central literacy core committee, supported by subcommittees that represent the major divisions. These include, but are not limited to, banking, markets, wealth management, risk and compliance, tech, ops, and HR. These teams would own the design and delivery of a curriculum that actually fits the way people work in each area. The curriculum itself would move out in 4 phases. First, a foundation or basic education on AI tools and policies. Then implementation or a boot camp. This would provide hands-on practical training. Third, prompt libraries tailored to each division. And finally, ongoing education to keep things fresh and relevant. The whole thing would roll out over the course of 12 to 18 months, starting with committee formation and curriculum development, then pilot testing, and eventually full deployment across the company. We foresee or expect that training would be flexible, self-paced modules, live workshops, in-person sessions, so on and so forth, so that people can engage in ways that work for them. Subcommittees would adapt content to their team's workflows, and they'd build in feedback loops to keep the refining and improving. Now, I'll be the first to say we are not naive. There are going to be challenges in this process. Resistance to change, especially from long-tenured employees, is very real. Some folks will worry about job security or feel like AI threatens their expertise. Additionally, digital literacy isn't consistent across the board, and we can't forget the regulatory complexity that banks face. To tackle that, we're suggesting tiered training, essentially beginner, intermediate, and advanced, plus mentorship programs to support learning. The policies subcommittee should work closely with legal to make sure everything's compliant, and if this is gonna stick, it needs to feel useful, not abstract, something people can actually apply to their jobs, careers, and ultimately their life.
In closing, our project makes it clear that generative AI isn't just a technological shift, it's a people strategy. For Bank of America, the real challenge isn't adopting new tools, it's ensuring employees have the skills, structure, and confidence to use them effectively. Our proposed Generative AI Literacy Committee and phased training curriculum create a roadmap for responsible innovation. They ensure that AI enhances human judgment rather than replacing it, while promoting collaboration, compliance, and continuous learning across all divisions. Ultimately, successful AI adoption depends on human adaptability. By investing in the upskilling now, Bank of America positions itself not only to keep pace with change, but to lead it, building a workforce that's future-ready, informed, and empowered to use AI with purpose.